Another counter on it. Generous Visitor gets a pump. Oh my god, we actually won right here. We actually won! Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the latest in deck technology. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be going into the Explore format to play a highly synergistic deck that's going to draw you a ton of cards, is super easy to put together, and also can help you build up a giant threat to overwhelm your opponent and smash your way to victory. This is Life Enchanted. Now before we get started, those of you who are longtime viewers of the channel already know that we need to talk about the stats of the deck first. So we're going to be doing Selesnya colors. We're looking at an average mana curve of about 2.3. That's a little deceptive, but I'll explain why in a little bit. We're going to have 28 creatures in the deck and 10 non-creature spells. Specifically, that does mean we're going to have about 30 enchantments. Actually, that also counts. I realize the creatures. It's a little awkward here, but I'll explain how that works in a bit. And specifically, a land base of about 22 lands. Now let's be perfectly honest about this. This deck, as you're looking at it right now, may not look like anything special, but it actually is pretty effective and pretty fun to play even at budget levels. So I'm definitely going to recommend this for more beginner players out there if you just want to kind of dip your toes into the format and have a little fun. But for those of you that are interested in seeing how this cheap little deck actually works very well, let's actually break it down for you and show you what we're trying to work with here. So we're going to actually work our way backwards here. We have a couple of big cards here, such as Skyblessed Samurai, we have Selesnya Enchantments, and Heliod Suncrown. These cards actually are pretty much important to the deck for main reasons. So Skyblessed Samurai comes in as a 4/4, and although it says it's 7 mana, it is much cheaper to cast for each enchantment we control that's on the battlefield. Selesnya Enchanter is going to be our engine piece, where every time we cast an enchantment spell, we draw a card. And then finally, our other piece, even though we're on a budget, just a single copy of Heliod Suncrown can be very powerful for us. If you haven't already aware of what this card does, I'm going to break it down for you real quick. Heliod Suncrown is a 3-mana, 5/5 legendary enchantment god. It's indestructible, and as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod is not a creature. Whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. You can also pay 2 mana and then give another target creature lifelink until end of turn. Woo! This card definitely can do a lot for us, and also as we keep drawing cards with our Selesnya Enchanter, we can get our Skyblessed Samurai for a much cheaper cost, and then Heliod can keep adding more +1/+1 counters as long as we gain life. But you're probably wondering, how do we even pull this off despite the fact that these are much more on the end game side of it? Well, let's now work our way kind of backwards as I mentioned and show you how we can support this game plan. Junkai Naturalist here has lifelink, and it also makes our enchantment spells cast 1 less, so this is also pretty awesome for us. We actually don't take advantage of it too much, but 3 copies of course will be enough for us to make everything much cheaper and easier to cast. Spirited Companion is a cute little dog. Aw, look at how cute he is. He's so cute. But of course, the dog, of course, can draw us a card, and it's also an enchantment creature, so it also will trigger off with Selesnya Enchanter. If we have Junkai Naturalist out, this is literally going to have us draw cards, sometimes 2 cards for 1 mana. Very awesome, great value there. As far as support for the deck, we have Skrell's Hive. This can create for us Phyrexian Mites. Unfortunately, the Mites are not enchantments, but even as token artifacts, these can help us go wide and ensure that we have a plan B to the deck if everything else falls apart. Of course, there is one other synergy that takes advantage of the Mites, which I'll talk about in just a second. But first, let's go over Ossification. Ossification just provides us a way of just getting annoying stuff out of the way that we can't deal with, sometimes a Death Toucher or maybe a First Striker that we just can't push through. Michigo's Reign of Truth, however, is also an incredibly powerful card, and it also synergizes with those little mites that we have. Michigo's Reign of Truth, for those who are unaware, is a saga that simply says, for the first 2 parts, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. And on +3, you exile the saga and flip it back over into Portrait of Michigo, where it becomes a creature that has +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment we control. So this card of course provides for us a lot of support, and also can flip into a highly synergistic creature that gives us more ways of getting to victory. And then finally, to round out the package, Generous Visitor here is also just as powerful as Heliod Suncrown. Well, granted, it doesn't have indestructible, but it still allows us to put +1/+1 counters on a creature whenever we cast an enchantment spell. So this allows us to create any one of our creatures into a really big threat and making them very hard to deal with. Fengus Shigeki here, nothing super crazy, it's simply just a Death Toucher, so it can help chump block for us in the early game and also can become a decent threat in the mid to late game. And then finally, the crowning achievement that helps us put it all together, Outset of Life's Bounty. I love this card a lot, and the card also is very powerful, despite the fact that even though it doesn't look like it does much, it can either stabilize us in the early game with its lifelink ability, but ideally you want to be able to sacrifice it when you need to then give one of our creatures or enchantments we control protection from the color of our choice until end of turn. So basically, once we build up up a giant threat, we can then sacrifice our Elsa's Life's Bounty to giving something protection, smash through and ensure that our opponent can't block it, and get our win from there. So as far as your land base is concerned, since we are on a budget, we're only going to rock 9 plains, 5 forests. We have Fortified Village, which is really sweet for us because you don't have to waste rare wild cards on Fortified Village, which is great for us. And the only rares actually in terms of our land base, since we can't afford it, we're going to utilize Temple Gardens, which is great and actually does synergize with Fortified Village itself. As far as your sideboard is concerned, if we do have problems dealing with our opponents and maybe they're just trying to blow up all of our stuff, we can utilize Invasion of Gobakon, which also gives us another way of making all of our creatures bigger and having everything go big and wide at the same time. We have Destiny Spinner for the control decks out there, so we can make sure that all of our creatures and enchantment spells cannot be countered. Tormod's Crypt is our typical graveyard hate. It's cheap, it's free, definitely rock it. Griffin Airy is actually pretty sweet if we can then trigger off Skrell's Hive so we can give all of our creatures lifelink. Our other lifelinkers along with Heliod Sun Crown actually synergize, so if we need an option for us to go wide with tokens, this is actually a pretty sweet little option that a lot of people underestimate. And finally, to round out our package and our catch-all removal, we have Atrax's Fall. The simple sorcery allows us to destroy an artifact, a battle, enchantment, or a creature with flying. So it's actually pretty sweet for us overall as kind of a catch-all for anything else that we just can't deal with combat-wise. Now, to finish off this deck, you may be wondering right now, can something so simple be so effective even in the format?
Good question.
The only way we're going to find that out is let's take this deck, of course, into Explorer and show you how well it can perform. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content so you don't miss out on any of the gameplay, booster pack openings, deck decks, and so much more. Okay, my favorite friends, here we go. We are playing our Life Enchanted deck here in Explorer, and alright, well, this actually looks pretty good right now. I think we can keep this, and hopefully we can get to that Skyblast Samurai, or at least put some counters on top of our Spirited Companion. So let's keep this and see what happens. Alright, they got a Forest, Llanowar Elves, so it's either going to be Devotion or Elves. I guess we'll find out in a bit. Alright, so with that, play the Fortified Village, showing off a Forest. We'll play Generous Visitor first. So I think we can get there with this. It all really just depends on what our opponent's playing here. If they go wide with... Oh, okay, so it is going to be Devotion. Alright, well, that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. So, Forest first. We will put down our Spirited Companion. We need to start building up on our attackers here, because we need to start blocking. Draw a card. Ooh, okay, we got an Ossification here. So now we have 2 Ossifications, which will be great for us to get rid of their annoying stuff. We can shut down their Devotion once they have some of their other bigger stuff coming out. Okay, so they do have the Shrine. Old Growth Troll, number 2. Publish Mystic. Alright, I think we're going to have to just get rid of these, because that's going to be a big threat for us. So we will not block. Alright. Ooh, a Temple card. Also pretty sweet. Alright, so we're going to put down the plains first. Ossification on the Forest. We get to put a counter on Generous Visitor. Take away 1 Old Growth Troll, slowing down their Devotion. We swing here. Down to 17. Okay, well, that's nice that we're going to slow them down a little bit here. That helps us out a bit. But I know they're going to explode pretty soon, so we got to be careful here. Oh boy, here they go, making their mana. You tell me in the comments below, would you see Nykthos trying to next get banned? Let me know. No blocks. Down to 6. Yikes. Alright, it's fine, everybody, it's fine. We're gonna make it. I know we're gonna make it. So with that, we will play... How do we do this? Okay, I think we'll play that tapped. Put this on the plains. Put a counter on top of Generous Visitor. Old Growth Troll. Turned off. Alright, so Generous Visitor attacks again. They're down to 13. It's a little close here, everybody. A little too close for my comfort, but it's okay. We're going to get there. All we just need to do is stabilize with Heliod, and we might actually be able to pull this off. Lucernos. A little scary, but this is fine, everybody. They make their mana. They transform Pelucanos. Ooh, okay, we got another Ossification. Okay, well, that definitely does save us a little bit here. Okay. We'll put down our next Ossification on the plains. Put another counter on Generous Visitor. This little spirit is definitely putting in work, so I definitely give it that much credit. So with that, Michigo's Ray of Truth. Another counter on it. Generous Visitor gets a pump. Oh my god, we actually won right here. We actually won! I wasn't expecting that. Oh my goodness, we actually won already? Wow. Okay, well, definitely don't underestimate this deck. I'm so happy. I can't believe that happened. Oh my goodness. Oh, this deck actually has surprises to it. I love it. That was great. All right, my fire friends, here we go. We are playing our Life Enchanted deck here in Explorer, and ooh, okay, so we got a little bit of removal here. We do have a Generous Visitor, a Samurai, and a way to draw cards. This is actually pretty sweet. Pretty much as close as we can get to what we call a nut draw here, so I'm rocking this. Temple Garden shocking us. Generous Visitor coming in. All right, opponent, what do you got? Forest. Elvish Mystic. Oh boy, are we dealing with another Devotion deck again? I guess we'll see in a bit, everybody. So with that, let's play Junkai Naturalist, pumping up the Visitor. Go swinging here. They're obviously not going to block. Down to 18. All right. It's tempting, of course, to slow down the ramp, but we definitely want to keep our ossifications for the big stuff. If we can just get one more land, we'll be set. Kiora. Okay, so this is actually pretty sweet here. Ossification will take out a Kiora. Ooh, they didn't actually have anything there. Nice. Okay, so this gives us a major advantage here. Spirited Companion. Pump up the Naturalist. We draw a card. Temple Garden. Alright, so with that, shock ourselves. Ossification on the plains. Pumping up the Naturalist again. Take out Kiora. That's actually sweet. With that, go swinging here. They're down to 12. Wow, this deck actually does pretty well against the Devotion deck if we just time everything well. This is perfect. If we could just get one more land, that Satyr Enchanter will be really sweet to have on the field. Karn the Great Creator. What is he going to be able to do? I'm actually kind of curious. But we still have another ossification, so we have ways of dealing with that. Alright, opponent. They're ticking down for something. I'm guessing they have to get like a Haywire Might. They have to do that just to get rid of our ossification here. As I figured, they have a Haywire Might. Okay, so with that, what do we play? I think Satyr Enchanter has to come down now. We then smack Karn out of the way. They go down to 8 here. Karn down. Granted, they will have a Haywire Might, but we still are going to save that ossification just in case. Okay, there's the Nykthos. Haywire Might. They also could take out the Naturalist, too. That's actually a possibility for our opponents. What will they pick? They obviously have to get rid of this to get Kiora back. As I figured, they gain some life. Still annoying, but this is fine, everybody. We still have time to get there. They make their mana. At the very least, we were able to slow them down. Untap. Another Elvish Mystic. Okay, that's actually not too scary. Wow, that's all they have? Okay, well, that's actually great for us. So, El said, we're going to keep pumping up that Naturalist. Draw a card. Alright, we got a land. That's good. Shock ourselves. We will play Ossification again. Putting it on the plains. We can then get rid of Elvish... Wait, hold on. We almost made a mistake there. Alright, now we take out the Elvish Mystic. Off the field. Alright, so with that... Wow, we're almost there. Okay, I think we can get it here. Naturalist again. Draw a card. Enchanter. Oh, wow, we got there again. Yay, this is so awesome. Wow, this deck actually gets around the Devotion deck pretty well. All right, my fire friends, here we go. We are playing our Life Enchanted deck here, and okay, so we don't really have an early game creature. We have something for the mid and later, so maybe we should mulligan this and see if we can get something better. Let's see. Okay, this is actually pretty decent. I think we can keep this. So we're going to keep this here. We'll put away the Skyblast Samurai for the time being. We can get down our ossification to take something out. We have a Spirited Companion to draw into some more action, so this should be fine. Ooh, Generous Visitor also. Very nice. Forest down. Generous Visitor. Alright, opponents. Let's see, our opponent has a Raffine's Tower. I'm guessing they probably might be some kind of domain deck? Oh, Tapland too. Well, they probably might be some kind of control deck, I'm guessing. Well, I guess we'll find out soon. Either way, Spirited Companion coming down. Pump the Generous Visitor. We draw a card with our Doge. Swing. Down to 18. If we can get another land down, this Selesnya Enchanter would be pretty sweet to have too. Alright, Junkai Naturalist. Not too shabby. I think we'll keep that for a second here. We'll swing here to see if our opponent has any kind of... Okay, no interaction yet. Okay, I'm worried they might have a Wrath, so we're just going to have to hold off for a little bit here. Opponent's still not playing anything. Oh, the One Ring. Okay, well, now that I know they have that, I'm kind of concerned as to what they might actually be drawing. I guess we'll find out soon. Planes down. At the very least, now we can get down Heliod. Pump Generous Visitor. Go swinging here. Obviously, I know that doesn't do any damage, but I just wanted to still flex. Another tap land. Do you have a Wrath, opponent? Nothing yet? Interesting. Okay. Nothing still. Alright. Well, we'll pump up using Heliod some lifelink. It's a very... Oh, jeez. Okay, so I think I know what deck this is. This might be a Turbo Fog deck, everybody, which is going to be absolutely disgusting for us to deal with, but that's fine. That's fine. We can still deal with this. Opponent's still doing the One Ring. Another tap land. Teferi's Protection. Okay. Well, they can keep doing that, which is, again, going to be very frustrating for us to get through this, but that's okay, everybody. I still believe we can get through all this. So with that, I guess we can't really do anything. Well, this is going to be kind of a boring match, but we'll still see if we can find a way through. Our opponent is pinging themselves to death here. They're at 11 now, so I don't know how much longer they can... Oh, wow. Opponent's getting really greedy here. Okay. Well, we'll see how this turns out. Okay, so that's the farewell. So, unfortunately, they did have a Wrath to destroy the whole board. Yep. It's okay. We'll find a way through this. Oh, they have Thespian Stage also. So that obviously means we're going to have infinite mana here. Thespian Stage. That turns now both cards into Lotus Field, which is absolutely disgusting. Okay, so how do we get through this? Okay. Selesnya Enchanter. Generous Visitor. Do you have another Wrath, opponent? Seagate Restoration. Jeez, opponent basically has all the answers right now, I'm guessing, in their hand, and all the mana. So I have no idea how we're going to get through this, everybody. But again, if nothing else, you can at least see the weakness of the deck. So we'll at least acknowledge this a little bit in the wrap-up. Temple Garden. Talking ourselves. Junkai Naturalist. Pumping up the Enchanter. Our opponent has to have a counter spell somewhere, which does scare me a little bit. Let's try. Draw some more cards. On the Generous Visitor. Shigeki. We pump up Selesnya Enchanter. We will play Elsed. This is definitely risky against a control deck, but we have to go for it. Go swinging here. Do you have an answer, opponent? Teferi's Protection again. This is beyond frustrating, everybody. Okay. So, in any case, let's actually check. That was their third one, wasn't it? So, yeah. Wow, they have nothing but this. Okay, absolutely disgusting deck. I really don't like this play pattern, but that's fine. Oh boy, another farewell. Well, we're not getting anywhere with this. If we have at least one of our other oh, jeez, another Thespian Stage? Good lord. Opponents! Killing me here. Oh, okay. There's their approach to the Second Sun. Well, that just means, again, we're probably going to be losing very soon, everybody, but we're going to still try to find our way through this. We will... Shigeki. Draw a card. Another land. Play the Forest. And we pass here. Okay. So, I don't know how we're going to get through all this. Our opponent basically has everything they need. Mastermind's actually... Oh, boy. Is this where we're going to pull out their win con right here? Watch. Wait for it. Wait for it, everybody.
Well, this stinks.
Approach the Second Sun. Yep. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not mad, everybody. I'm not. Okay. We're going to be honest for a second. Yes, I know. The last match, if you just saw that, we went into the wrong queue completely, but it did exemplify one big weakness to the deck. As you kind of saw right there, the deck doesn't really do too well against non-interactive decks like that. We honestly want to focus on mostly playing against creature-heavy decks, where again, combat is going to be something that we can just manage and of course get through. Still, the deck is actually overall pretty fun. You saw in our earlier matches, we were able to just steamroll some of the more prominent decks out there in the format, so I'm really happy with this deck. It does look a little janky on paper, or I should say maybe digitally paper, but overall still, I'm really happy with the deck. Yes, once again, I'm sure you probably would realize if we played in the Explorer format, just think of that Turbo Fog deck we just played against was mostly like what happens if you fight control. You're basically going to get destroyed by anything that just has a ton of wraths, tons of ways of preventing combat damage of getting through, so be aware of that when you do play this deck. Still, I would say this deck is actually pretty awesome as is, and if you are interested in making it even better, stick around for just a second and you'll get to see how we upgrade this and make it even better. Now, if you're actually looking to upgrade the deck into something a little bit more interesting, here's what I'm going to recommend for you. So, Fang of Shigeki is going to get pulled out, and instead we're going to put in Legion's Landing. This doesn't exactly give us a Death Touch creature anymore, but it does provide for us a decent enchantment that can flip into a land, which allows us to then create a lot more tokens, then also have lifelink and help us stabilize even easier. Other changes mean that sadly we're going to get rid of our Skyblast Samurai, and instead we're going to have a little bit more consistency. As you kind of notice, we're going to focus a little bit more on token synergies now, so we have Wedding Enchantment. So this simple enchantment allows us to create some 1 white human creature tokens, and it can flip into Wedding Festivities, which allows us to have now a Anthem effect staying in an enchantment, and then make all of our creatures more consistently strong across the board. With that, otherwise, keep the whole deck as is. You actually don't really need to change anything. It's pretty solid as is. So instead, we're going to look at, of course, upgrading the mana base. So we're going to have a copy of Mirex, creating for us more Phyrexian Mites with Toxic, which could then synergize well with Skrells, and Michiko's Reign of Truth to give us another Plan B, much more stronger option overall. Get all your dual lands that you can afford, and then this will give you a lot more consistency with the mana base. As always, Boseiju, who endorses also a auto included for the deck, you definitely want to get a copy of that, so at least you have Artifact Enchantment Hate in the main deck. Ijano, Seed of the Empire is also solid too, also gives you a quick little way of doing some damage against an opponent, where if we don't want to block something, we can just get rid of that in a pinch. As far as the sideboard upgrades are, we're going to now have Authority of the Consuls, which gives us a much easier time of slowing down much more aggressive decks, giving us that life gain, which can trigger off Heliod a lot easier, and also give us a little bit more +1/+1 counters in the process. For your Graveyard Hate upgrades now, we have Rest in Peace, which allows us to then exile all graveyards, and then everything that does die will just automatically get exiled, preventing our opponent from doing any graveyard shenanigans. We're going to trim that means a couple of our Atraxas Falls, and as far as the last upgrade to the deck, we're going to have a copy of Mondrak Glory Dominus. Since we are leaning a little bit more into token synergies, I figured this might actually be pretty solid for us. It's also a good creature on its own by giving itself indestructible if we sacrifice 2 other artifacts in our creatures. So we can say maybe get rid of a couple of mites if they're not doing much, and then we can give this indestructible, but then also this can help multiply all the tokens that we're going to be making with the deck, allowing us to go super wide and giving us a much more consistent strategy against our opponent. But otherwise, my final thoughts on the deck are, despite how simple it may look overall, the deck is actually pretty effective, and you saw from the gameplay footage, it actually can put in a little bit of work for what little investment we do provide for it. However, I'm not going to lie, of course, the deck has its shortcomings. It's not exactly anything explosive. It's not doing anything crazy like some other decks out there in the format. But again, for those of you who are much more at the beginner level of Magic the Gathering, maybe you're playing on Arena, you're just trying to put something together that's synergistic and fun, this is definitely something I would recommend to any new players out there who just want to dip their toes into Arena. And for those of you who are more veterans, if you're just trying to pinch your wildcard pennies, then definitely invest in this. This is a lot of fun, and you can see that there's multiple ways you can go. You can either go into +1/+1 synergies, you can go to token synergies, you can go all out with the enchantments, or even the life gain. However you build it, if you do play this deck because you're a fan of enchantments, if you're a fan of +1/+1 strategies, if you like having multiple ways of getting to victory, definitely give this deck a try. And I assure you, as simple as it may look, when you get your victory with it and surprise your opponent with that win, you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.